Hey everyone, it's G.I. Gary here from Pint Comics. Today, doing some O-rings. And doing some O-rings means I bought about 20-something figures the other day, and every single one had the O-ring broke. So, to complement my article on pintcomics.com, I'm going to change some on camera and just talk about, the rubber, the O-rings, and just the shape of the figures and why I make the choices that I make when I'm changing out my O-rings. I've done several hundred, and I'm probably going to do several hundred more. And today, instead of using McMaster.com, which is where I buy my O-rings typically in bulk, I also use a local O-ring house sometimes. They can be quite cheap too. But I was in kind of a crunch, and I went to Lowe's, and I bought some Danco O-rings of varying sizes to show out. So today I got a number 41 Danco, a number 8 Danco, and a number 9 Danco. So these would correspond with, the number 41 is my favorite, -013 if you use the AS568A O-ring standard size, which is military spec. You have the number 8, which is a 2-110, and then the number 9, which is a 2-111. The number 9, or the -111, is the most common O-ring size you'll find in a G.I. Joe from the factory. However, for varying reasons, you may want to use a number 8 or number 41. There is also a 2-012, which Danco doesn't have a direct comparison from. So you would have to go on McMaster.com and search under -012, or go to a local rubber house and specify that as well. So, a little bit about the sizing. So the size of an O-ring is generally OD and ID, and the cross section is kind of an also-ran. And when I'm looking at these, when I'm looking at this Danco O-ring, you see, so I got 9/16 OD by 7/16 ID by 1/16. Now in manufacturing, that would tell me it's double dimensioned, which doesn't tell, which also says, well, which dimensions are most important, but it's not pertinent to the conversation we're having here today. So what I'm really concerned about is I'm concerned about the ID. So most boy characters use a 7/16 ID. Girl characters will use a 3/8 ID because the girl characters have a thinner waist. So what that means is right over here, from where the leg socket goes in to where the waist socket sits in the waist, it is shorter. So it uses a smaller O-ring, because I've tried using the boy O-rings and girl figures, and they are just flippy floppy. So I do have some girl O-rings with me, but I'm not going to be changing them today because I didn't end up with any broken O-rings in girl characters. So the other thing I'll talk quickly about is O-ring rubber. Now, a lot of people are like, oh, O-rings are O-rings. No, O-rings are not O-rings. There are different kinds of rubbers for different kinds of applications. O-rings are not designed as a rubber band. O-rings are designed as a packing or seal. So they're designed to fit in a groove or on a fitting and then compress to form an airtight or watertight seal. But for whatever reason, they also were used, Hasbro decided to use them for coming up with these figures. So one day I would hope to learn, the inspiration for the O-ring rather than a rubber band. And that's the start. I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to give you a bird's eye view, or a POV shot, of me changing some O-rings today. And then we'll come back and show you what I did and revisit this with the closing. All right, so I got a decent cross section here of figures. I got some breakers in 82 and 83. We got some Dukes. We got a Gung Ho, and we got a Mutt. And so I figure I got enough variation with torsos and stuff to show you what I'm going to be doing. So here's the number 8. This is for like Scarlet and Jinx and Baroness. So we're not going to use this today. So this is just right out. So now we'll go to the number 41 and the number 9. All right. So you can see the big difference is OD 5/8 here, 9/16. I really like using the number 41s. There's a reason. They fit about every G.I. Joe. Don't need to worry about clearance. But the number 9s are thicker, and there may be a reason why you would want this, besides the fact that it is a original size. Like I said, it in my article, it also might be metric in diameter as well, because 3/32 is very close to 2 millimeter. But well, let's get started. We'll take some screws out and change some O-rings. So I bought these, like I said, at Lowe's. I was in a pinch, and I satisfied the pinch. And so we'll start with breaker over here. I'll just move everything off to the side. So I use a number 0 screwdriver. I want to make sure the tip is good. The tip being good allows it to get really into that back screw without breaking it. And the first breaker I'm taking out, 1982, straight arm. And we're just going to do this right here. So, poking out. And now you can see the original O-ring still in here. So, bought all these figures off of Mercari. And now I'll pop open this. And I know there's a lot of guys right now cringing. They're wondering what I'm going to be doing. And so I'm going to open up another 41 as well. And just leave these open out over here. So first thing, we're going to look at the hook, right? So all O-ring changes start with the hook. The hooks can break on these, and you can buy replacements on eBay, or just keep buying lots of figures. Eventually you'll have enough broken figures to steal parts from. Also, this back screw right here is the same as the leg screw right there. Again, great thing for having a lot of extra figures around. And also I want to point out, so you got this guy right here. You notice it's nice and square. I'm hoping as I open up some of these later figures, we'll see some bevels, and you'll see how that opened up room for the big, thick number 9 versus the tiny number 41. So here we go. So the first thing is, now I'll clip the number 9 into the hook. Now this is one thing you'll see. I'm already futzing. It's because it's on camera. You can, and I don't know if you got that on the camera, but there was an audible click. And then you have to squeeze it, and then you put it in right here. So I'm going to do this twice, only because to show you why I don't like using these, especially on the 82 straight arms. So I got it around, I slipped the waist over it, and now I'm going to put this on right here. Boop. So just like that. And so you got that right there. See, oh, you're like, yeah, there's no problem there. Now let's watch right here. Now you see I got to give it a little effort. And let's see, do you see that pinch right there? How tight it is? We'll do another pinch right here with his head. So you got some squeezings going on. And then you add the other arm. Yeah, so you got a lot of squeezing going on. That's the reason why if you look at this original one, I'll try to catch this good on the camera. You can see the pinch points right here and here. So O-rings, because they're designed as seals, not as O-rings, they're not designed to stretch. Well, they're designed to stretch enough for installation. They're not designed for like a long-term storage. Like plastic, O-rings are made from, oil. And so in making these, they do outgas. A lot of O-rings will have a shelf life of about 10 years in a sealing environment. And again, it brings me back to breaker here with the thick one. So what you're doing is you got a little squeeze here, but you can see your pinch points. So I'm going to use the screwdriver to illustrate. So you got a pinch here and a pinch here. So you're creating a stretch over here. Now I know there's some people that like to pre-stretch their O-rings. It's rubber. The only way you stretch rubber is you're physically tearing the rubber. You're not, to stretch it, you're exceeding its elastic limits. And if you're exceeding its elastic limits, so you're tearing it, so now you're shortening the lifespan of the O-ring. So I don't pre-stretch. I use the right O-ring the first time. And the other thing about O-rings, and I was actually sad to see this on the Danco, so I'd be interested to see how long these last, is I don't see what kind of rubber they're using. The most common type is Buna, which is a neoprene, and it's resilient for chemicals like oils and water. which isn't, well, water isn't a chemical, but you get the point. It's designed to be resilient, but it doesn't tell me the hardness. So I'm feeling it right now with my fingers, and I'm checking to see if it's elastic or not. If it's not elastic, it's going to be a rubber that has a high, it's called a durometer. So durometer is like softness or stretchiness. And so I've used O-rings with like a 90 durometer. They're like plastic. You can't stretch them at all. But then you have others like 70 or 50. So the lower the number, they get stretchier. 70 seems to be, 70 is common. And these feel to be in that 65 to 70 range. I don't have a durometer tester, so I'm just going to, like I said, I'm just going by experience. I've done a lot of O-rings over the years, and I've been working with them for even longer. So I'm just going to, and again, so this is an area you just wiggle, 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 wiggle it just a little bit, and it comes off. And I'm taking it out. So you can already see the short term, it's already oblonged a little bit. Now I'm going to use the thin number 41 O-ring. So you're like, it doesn't go in with any drama, no clip, no nothing. It doesn't stay in there either. That might be a reason for the size from the original. There might be a correlation with the size of the O-ring to the size of the hook. Now I'll put the left arm in, put the right arm in, put the head in. I'll just clip. There we go. And then now for the back screw. Boop. Boop. And I'm just going to tighten this. Ever so I give it a little pinch with my fingers. And I'm just gently turning it. I'm just waiting for the screw to just stop. And there it is. So breaker, 1982 breaker, is together again for the first time in a very long time. With the first one out of the way, we'll open up a few guys. So what I want to also show is where we're going to go with this. All right. One other thing that, I don't know, maybe it's my OCD, is I like to keep the screws with the backs until the backs are no more. So, all right. So you can see Mutt here has the original square arms. So you're not going to see too many. This lot I picked up was all 1982 to 1984 figures. And like I've seen later versions of the earlier figures, like maybe mailaways, to get the beveled arms. And so there's Gung Ho, he's taken apart. And we'll just do this again with Breaker, 1983. And let's see how we go here. Breaker 19. Get the popo. And let's see. All right, so there we go. And then finally the ever popular Duke with a broken crotch. And I bought this entire lot. Oh, here's, all right, so this is where I'm going to go crazy. Oh, see, and I feel his back screw stripping. So when the back screw starts stripping, I'm going to try to get this close up. When the back screw starts stripping, I might try a different screwdriver, or I might have to drill it out. But the big thing is, before you drill out, you exhaust all your other options first. And because I have only the one screwdriver right down, and I'm just going to put them off to the side. I have successfully drilled out a screw. I have used a reverse fluted drill to walk out a drill or walk out a screw. I have also used, after the reverse drill, I have had to use an easy out and unscrew it out with the easy out. And then I've also had the unfortunate opportunity of drilling out a screw, having the head pop off, and then being done with the torso. And then I've also broken a torso drilling out a screw. And the torso that I broke was only a Viper Pilot, so no big deal. So, all right, so he'll go off to the side. Let me grab the last glass Duke. And again, I bought this whole lot because there was a Duke with an unbroken waist in the parts lot. And in April, when I filmed my classified Snake Eyes review, I broke his waist. You might be like, well, I didn't see him in that review. Well, watch the opening montage. Yep, and then there you go. More square shoulders. So now the reason why I'm going to bring them all out, and I did them all at once, is I want to show the differences in the chest pieces. Okay, so just to go over, you'll notice that the 82-83 guys have probably the smallest cavity of them all, with it being smaller in width and height, especially with the distance from this flange to the top of this. So that means there's going to be a lot less room. Now, as the figures got going on, they started making the area bigger, like you see here in Duke. It's larger here, wider here, and then it's also not straight going out here. So this was 1983, and then you started seeing variations in the cavities. So you see even Gung Ho is even bigger yet, even wider at the shoulders, with about the same as Duke over here. And this is where Hasbro would make figures taller by increasing the distance here, like in Destro, or in like even later years with Sergeant Slaughter. And then, you have your width here. And then also with the beveling of the arms, you create even more room. And then in 84, here's an example with Mutt. So let's just slap some O-rings in these guys and get them going. I'm almost out of O-rings, actually. So let's see. We'll start with 1983. So this is unusual. Got to pull the waist off the legs. Again, got to finagle it. Don't want to get it broken. See, sometimes there's a little piece of dried rubber into the hook. I'm going to peel that away. I find that the screwdriver actually does a really good job of peeling it out. See, boop, gone. And because it's 82-83, he's definitely going to get this beautiful number 41 O-ring. Just go in there. And yep. Just come on. You just, like I said, you just wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it, wiggle it. It's just not going. And you don't want to force it, because then you'll break the waist, and then it'll be really sad. Just figures he is the... There we go. Doing it live. Whoop, and that's the front, not the back. So, yep, hook the back. Use my thumb. I push the O-ring all the way back to the back of the chest cavity as far as I can get it. Then time for the arms. And then time for the head. Yep, and then now sometimes it isn't just straightforward with getting it on. But this one went pretty good. So there you go. 1983 breaker. Swivel arm breaker, all squared away, ready to go. A little pinch, a little turn. All right, so that's breaker. Now we'll go on to Mutt right now. Find Mutt's. Yep, and again, you got the dried rubber on the hook. Now the hook, this stuff is just made out of powdered metal. What I'm going to do is, because Mutt is so much bigger, I'm going to use this number 9. And so get it in. There we go. Got the waist piece all out. And the back. You can see it's really narrow over here by his waist, but it's going to work for the purpose of what I'm doing. Left arm, right arm. And you can see because the torso is bigger, you know, the number 9 isn't getting pinched. A number 41 is going to have plenty of room. But I'm actually running out of number 41s and I need a couple extra. So this will get me through today. And Mutt can go look for junkyard. Stop all the downloading. And yeah, and just do another quick, make sure. There we go, nice and tight. So, put them over here. And let's see, okay, and then now we're going to do Mr. Gung Ho. I'll stop with Gung Ho. I'm not going to do Duke because if I break his waist while installing it, there's going to be some ugly crying, and nobody wants ugly crying on the internet. Or maybe you do. I don't know. So I'm going to use the thin one. Now, the other day I actually did use a number 9 on a Gung Ho. It fit, but it was a little tighter than I'd like. And just for demonstration purposes, you know, just to show that, you know, you can use these. This is a nice Gung Ho too. So, come on. There we go. And cue yakety sax. And with his Marine Corps tattoo and his proper cover, something that you're not going to find in just any Gung Ho these days. And there we go. And squeeze, make sure there's no gap in between the shoulders. And that's it. Haven't found his backpack. I'll pop that on. So, a little time. So, in a little time, got these 4 guys all squared away with new O-rings. And I'll work on more later. So that concludes changing O-rings and G.I. Joe figures for today. Just a couple key takeaways. Make sure that the O-rings you buy are nice and soft, so they're not too hard, so they're stretching a little bit when you're installing them. Make sure for all the boys, you're getting 7/16 ID O-rings, which would be either a number 9 or a number 41. The number 41 generally fits every single guy. The number 9s you want for like larger torsos, and that's typically some 84s and most 85s and up. Then the girls are the next size down. They have a 3/8 ID. And make sure you got a good screwdriver. And make sure when you run into a strip screw, it's going to take a little advanced techniques, which I'm not going into just for this video, as it can be kind of troublesome to do. And I don't know if I can take a video while doing it. Hope this, guys, gets you out to fix some broken Joes. These are just some of the collection that I bought, all fixed up, ready to go. There's still more to do, still more to go, but I'm out of O-rings. And at that point, I'm out of a video. So remember, I'm at IG Gary V on Twitter, but don't forget to follow Pint Comics on Twitter, at Pint Comics. You can look for us on Facebook, Pint O Comics. And then also on Instagram, Pint_O_comics. And then don't forget www.pintofcomics.com. And don't forget 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time on WESUFM.org, where you can hear Sir John doing the interview show. So with that being said, I'm G.I. Gary. These are my Joes. And see ya.